Breaking news from college basketball. Former Arkansas standout Boogie Fland is transferring to the reigning national champion Florida Gators. That's the latest from CBS Sports' John Rothstein. A former five-star recruit, Fland is the 8th-ranked player in the transfer portal per 24/7 Sports. He started strong as a freshman for the Razorbacks last season, averaging 15 points per game before a hand injury ended his season. And you saw those 15 games he missed certainly did slow him down a little bit, but came in as the #1 combo guard according to 24/7 Sports, and now he heads from Arkansas, keeps it in the SEC to head over to the Gators with Todd Golden and company, who have certainly retooled that roster for a potential run it back of another natty. Now bringing our college basketball expert, Matt Norlander. And Matt, obviously I am very excited about this news, being the Gator alum that I am. But getting to this point right here after Fland initially enters the NBA draft, floats with those waters, tests it, and decides, hey, no, I'm going to enter the transfer portal and go back to college. How did we get here of Florida being where he chooses?
Well, Florida had made contact with Boogie Fland's camp. He's represented by Mike Miller, who's obviously a Florida alum, now an agent, dating back to the day after Fland went into the portal. And momentum had been cresting toward Florida for more than a week at this stage, at this point. He went on a visit over the weekend and into Monday, and he assigned his paperwork. And sources tell me that Fland's NIL deal attached to Florida will be north of $2 million, but under $3 million. And he fits a very big need for the Gators. The Gators have now really beefed up in the portal. It'll be Fland and then Xavier Lee by way of Princeton comboing in the backcourt. And that's a really strong, I mean, considering everything that Florida lost from its national championship team, Elijah Martin, of course, Walter Clayton Jr., and Will Richard, to replace those three with having Fland, who's a dynamic playmaker, and then Xavier Lee, you could either really have either of those guys be in command of the offense and run the point. They can be interchangeable there. This is a big get. Thomas Houck is returning, obviously. You just had Ruben Shinliu, who just withdrew from the draft process, although he was always expected to come back, but he's going to run it back. We wait and see on Condon. We can get to that in a minute there. Micah Hanlogden is back. The Boogie Fland commitment to Florida means that the Gators are a lock to be a preseason top 10 team and might even be preseason top 5, but this commitment really does set up reasonable expectations for Todd Golden's Gators to compete to make another Final Four run in 2026.
Yeah, that backcourt of the guards of Richard, Martin, and Clayton, obviously one of the best in the country. Do you feel now that with the way this sets up with Fland and Xavier Lee, and you bring in Brown and have his brother who was already on the team and those other pieces coming off the bench, when you look at it from a backcourt standpoint, where does this stack the Gators up this upcoming season?
Well, going into next season, Florida probably has one of the 5 or 6 best backcourts in the country. I think that's fair to assess. Fland was, in part because of what Fland did when he was at Arkansas. Now remember, he had the thumb injury, so he missed 15 games last season and only was able to make that return late in the NCAA tournament and help Arkansas get to the second weekend. But when he's fully healthy and with his potential, he's got a really good chance at turning himself into a first-round NBA pick a year from now. And if he can do that and uplift Florida and keep the Gators in that top tier in the SEC, yeah, this is going to be one of the high-level elite backcourts. Xavier Lee is a player who also has been who has caught the eyes of NBA scouts over the past couple of years. Not quite overall the prospect yet to make the jump. Obviously, that's why he's still in college. But I got to give Todd Golden and his staff credit, because they've done a really nice job at reassembling a roster after losing so many crucial pieces off a national championship team. And not just that, doing it in a fairly efficient way, which is their want to, obviously. And according to my sources, even outside the Florida program specifically, the way that Golden has been able to be very economical with some of his NIL deals and some of the money building there. It's not like Florida's not spending. It is. Florida is clearly among the top 15 to 20 programs overall in NIL budget, according to my sources, but they haven't felt like they've had to overpay for a single player. That's the case here with Fland. There was some egregious reporting some weeks back that Fland was commanding $6.5–7 million in NIL. That's just not true, and it's not going to be what he's paid to play at Florida. So it will be a big addition, and it adds even more intrigue within the SEC and nationally to have a national champion. This is a good thing for college basketball. This is now the 3rd offseason in a row It was true of UConn the past 2 seasons, and now it's true of Florida, where we have a sitting national champion that has retooled and reloaded to the point where we can talk about that program being in contention to make another Final Four or win another national championship. If we didn't have NIL in the transfer portal in its current iteration, I don't think that Florida would be this strong. But because of the current landscape of college athletics, the Gators have been able to retool, and they're waiting on one more decision to firm up their status as a potential top 5 team heading into next season.
Yeah, you mentioned that top 5 team going into the year. My timeline, of course, is filled with Gator-colored glasses as I look through that lens. But we certainly feel good about our odds to be able to win it all next year, especially when it comes to Alex Condon. What's the news you're hearing with him, and whether he might return back to Gainesville or if he will go for the NBA draft and stick there?
So that's the last piece for Florida. Condon's been going through the pre-draft process. He was at the Combine. He's done himself well. I'm told if he can get something like a top 25 guarantee, which is not, to be expected, that he would be gone, but that's not, frankly, that's not expected to be where it lands at this point. We still got a little bit of ways here to get to the end of the month before we get to that draft deadline. Some players, like Condon, could drag it out to the end just to be sure. But I expect Condon to return to Florida, and if and when that happens, that would really, really secure Florida's chances to be a top 5 preseason team. And at worst, in that top 8 overall. But I think Florida, as a staff, they're hopeful Condon will opt to return and come back. And if that is indeed the case, that that's how this goes, we could have a situation here where the Gators, if we were to fast forward a year from now, they might wind up having multiple first-rounders on their team if and when Condon comes back. But if you made me pick right now, I think Condon will opt to return, and in doing so, set up Chomp Gator to be well poised and positioned heading into next season, and one of the biggest stories in college basketball for 2025-2026.
Yeah, Matt Norlander, it is always great to be a Florida Gator as I hit my right over left chomp for all of the people out there. Orange and blue unite. We are rejoicing for sure. Thank you so much, Matt. And of course, you can get even more of Matt over on his podcast along with Gary Parrish, the Eye on College Basketball. My eye is on the Gators right now. My eye is on a preseason #1 spot. If you ask me, that's what we think down in Gainesville. Go Gators, go college basketball. Go listen to Eye on College Basketball.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you.
Big news coming out of the NFL. A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
With highlights.
What a finish at the final round of play.
And in-depth analysis.
Can they three-peat? Tony Romo joins the conversation.
What can you say about this game?
When you need your sports in a snap,
we're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
Find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.